On June 4th, 2026, Cloudflare bought the tool your JavaScript project runs on. Not your hosting, not your CDN. The actual build tool. The one thing that compiles your code every single time you hit save. Vite. And with it, the entire company that even you built to make sure no single corporation could ever control the JS toolchain. That company is called VoidZero. And it now belongs to Cloudflare. This isn't speculation. This isn't a what if. The acquisition is actually done. The press releases are out. And the open source world is very quietly asking a question nobody in either press release actually answers. What happens to a tool downloaded over 100 million times a week when the people who built it now answer to a corporate board? To understand what was just acquired, you have to understand what it replaced and why that replacement felt personal to so many developers. Before Vite, the standard JavaScript development experience had a dirty secret. You'd make a change, one line, one variable, and then you'd wait. Not milliseconds, seconds, sometimes minutes on large code bases. The tool responsible for that wait was Webpack. And Webpack wasn't bad software. It was remarkable software. It solved an incredibly hard problem, taking a mess of JavaScript modules, assets, and dependencies and bundling them into something a browser could actually understand. We've already made a video on Webpack versus Vite, so you can check that out. We'll put the link in the description. But solving a hard problem doesn't mean solving it elegantly. Webpack's configuration was notoriously opaque. You didn't just install it, you negotiated with it. Loaders, plugins, resolve aliases, Babel transforms. Each project had its own sprawling config file that one person on the team fully understood. And that person was never available when something broke. And the rebuild times on a hot reload that was supposed to be fast could still drag on long enough that you'd lose your train of thought entirely. The community wasn't ungrateful. They knew what Webpack had made possible, but they also knew they were spending a non-trivial part of their working day just waiting. That tension between what Webpack enabled and what it cost was exactly the gap that Ivan Yu walked into. Ivan Yu is not the typical open source founder. He didn't come up through a CS program at a top university. He studied art history. He learned to code because he needed to. Design school forced it on him and then discovered he was very good at it. He got hired at Google not because he had a traditional engineering background, but because Google Creative Labs wanted someone who could build things fast and make them look good. He was a prototyper. Speed was in his DNA from day one. At Google, he worked with Angular. And like most developers at the time, he had a complicated relationship with it. Angular was powerful. Angular was also enormous. It solved problems you didn't have yet and made the problems you did have harder. Even had a specific question. What if you took only the parts that actually matter? Reactive data binding, working directly with the DOM, and threw everything else away. That question became Vue.js in 2013. He built it for himself. He shared it on Hacker News almost as an afterthought. It hit the front page and stayed there for hours. That instinct, strip it to the essentials, make it fast, ship it, became the signature of everything Ivan Yu touched. It's exactly what he brought to Vite. He asked a simple question that nobody in the Webpack world had seriously entertained. Modern browsers now understand native ES modules natively. So why are we building the entire application on every single save during development? What if the dev server just served individual files as the browser requested them and only processed what actually changed? It was a radically simple idea and it was the birth of Vite. Vite, the French word for fast, was an understatement. It wasn't just fast, it was near instant. The dev server started in milliseconds. Hot module replacement just worked. Changes showed up in the browser before you'd moved your hand from the keyboard. For developers who had spent years waiting on Webpack, using Vite for the first time felt like someone had removed a weight they had stopped noticing was there. The community's reaction was immediate and explosive. Vite spread like wildfire. Initially a side project for the Vue ecosystem, its genius was too big to be contained. Soon developers using React, SvelteKit, Astro, and more were adopting it. Overnight, it felt like Vite was the new foundation for the web. Today, it sees over 100 million weekly downloads on NPM. It was a grassroots movement that won because it was better, faster, and simpler. It was the ultimate underdog story. Even you, the independent creator, had changed the incumbent way of doing things and created a real alternative. To support this momentum, Ivan formed VoidZero in 2023, a VC-backed company dedicated to building the next generation of JavaScript tooling. It's the official home for Vite and the super fast Vitest and ambitious new projects like Rolldown and OXC. Tools being rewritten in Rust to squeeze out every last drop of performance. VoidZero's stated mission was clear: a unified, high-performance toolchain for the entire JavaScript ecosystem. And critically, it was independent. No single cloud vendor, no platform lock-in. The tools would serve every developer on every platform equally. But here's where the story gets complicated before the acquisition even happens. Despite the downloads, despite the adoption, despite being arguably the most important toolchain in the modern JavaScript, VoidZero could not figure out how to make money. Even you admitted this openly. They tried a mixed licensing model for their product, Vite Plus. It didn't feel right. They pivoted to building Void, a Vite native deployment platform. But that split their already small team across two completely different domains: tooling and cloud infrastructure. By the time acquisition talks began, the runway was fine. The road to revenue was not. And then, on June 4th, 2026, the news landed like a bombshell. Cloudflare announced it had acquired VoidZero. The entire company, the whole team, including even you, would join Cloudflare's emerging technology organization. But here's the detail that everyone glossed over in the announcement headlines. Scroll back exactly 1 month to May 2026. Cloudflare had just laid off over 1,100 employees, 20% of its entire workforce gone. The stated reason? A leaner, more AI-powered team. And then, 30 days later, they had the budget to acquire one of the most important companies in the JavaScript ecosystem. Draw your own conclusions about what Cloudflare considers an investment worth making and what it considers expendable. The very tool celebrated for its independence, the one that felt like a community-led charge, is now the property of a massive corporation. For the millions of developers who built their workflows on Vite's neutrality, the future suddenly felt very uncertain. Both sides moved quickly to control the narrative, painting a picture of a logical, necessary evolution. Cloudflare's CEO, Matthew Prince, framed it around the rise of AI. AI is doing more of the typing, so everything around it has to keep up. The argument is that as AI agents write and deploy code, the tools must be faster and more integrated. Bringing VoidZero in-house creates a frictionless path from a developer's laptop to Cloudflare's global network. Notice what that means in plain English. Cloudflare wants to own the entire journey, from the moment you type Vite build on your laptop to the moment your code runs on their servers. A blog post from Ibanu tackled the sustainability of open source head-on. He explained that finding a revenue model for foundational tools is incredibly hard and admitted it openly. Meanwhile, Cloudflare's press release carried the promise of neutrality. Joining forces allows us to keep the Vite ecosystem neutral, open, and vendor agnostic, while giving us the resources and global infrastructure to supercharge the developer experience for millions of engineers worldwide. Read that sentence again. Neutral and vendor agnostic. Written by a man who now has Cloudflare on his paycheck. That's not a criticism of even you personally. He built something amazing, and he needed a way to sustain it. But words like neutral and vendor agnostic mean something very specific in open source. They mean no one company steers a roadmap, and right now, one company does. They made promises. Vite, Vitest, Rolldown, and OXC would all remain open source under MIT licenses. And to prove their commitment, Cloudflare announced a $1 million Vite ecosystem fund to support contributors outside the company. $1 million. For context, Cloudflare's annual revenue is over $2 billion. That fund is 0.05% of their yearly income. Make of that what you will. It sounds like a win-win, right? The project gets funding, the community gets guarantees. But this is where the story gets complicated. Despite promises, the core team now works for Cloudflare. Their salaries, their performance reviews, their professional future, all tied to Cloudflare's success. Can a project truly remain vendor agnostic when its primary stewards are on one vendor's payroll? When the person who merges your pull request gets their bonus decided by Cloudflare's board. Their stated goal is to integrate Vite with Cloudflare's products like its edge computing platform, Cloudflare Workers. The path of least resistance, the best documented, most seamless experience will almost certainly lead to Cloudflare's platform. That's not a conspiracy. That's just how incentives work. When your employer makes money from one platform, you will consciously or not make that platform work better. And what happens when Cloudflare's business priorities clash with the community's needs? If a feature is critical for the open source world but offers no direct benefit to Cloudflare's bottom line, where will the resources go? If Vite needs to make a decision that's great for AWS or Vercel users but neutral for Cloudflare, who makes that call now? The central question is this: if the foundation is owned by a corporation, who ultimately sets the priorities? The community or the stakeholders? This story isn't just about Vite. Every major JavaScript framework you use today, Vue, SvelteKit, Astro, React, runs its build pipeline through Vite, which means every one of those ecosystems now has Cloudflare sitting quietly at the bottom of their stack. Not as a hosting option, not as a CDN, as the team that decides what the toolchain prioritizes next. And here's the thing about Ivan Yu's blog post that nobody is talking about. He didn't say VoidZero was thriving and chose Cloudflare. He said monetization remained unsolved. He said building a cloud platform split the team. He said the road to revenue was long. This wasn't a founder at the top of his game choosing a strategic partner. This was a founder who had built the most downloaded JavaScript toolchain in history and still couldn't crack the business model. That's not a failure of Ivan Yu. That's a structural trap that swallows open source projects whole. And Cloudflare just stepped into that trap as the exit. Here's this channel's honest take. This was probably the right decision for Ivan Yu personally, and possibly the right decision for Vite's short-term development. But right for Ivan Yu and right for the JS ecosystem are not the same thing. The JS ecosystem needed Vite to remain structurally independent. Not because Cloudflare is evil, but because no single cloud vendor should sit at the foundation of every major JavaScript framework. That's a structural risk the community didn't vote for and wasn't asked about. And the $1 million ecosystem fund, generous as it sounds, doesn't change that structure. It just makes it easier to accept. Even you set out to free JavaScript developers from slow, corporate-backed tooling. He succeeded so completely that a corporation decided it needed to own what he built. And now the question every JavaScript developer should be sitting with is this: the tool that freed you from one set of corporate constraints, whose constraint does it operate under now? That's not a question Cloudflare's press release answers. And it's not one Ivan Yu's blog post answers either. It's one the community will be answering for years to come. One pull request, one roadmap decision, one Cloudflare workers integration at a time. So what do you think about this acquisition? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, as we'll see you soon in the next one. Till then, peace out.